Chapter 51. A triad of stories of three devotees. I bow down Shri Ganesh, I bow down Shri Saraswati, I bow down the Guru, I bow down the family Dinty, I bow down Shri Sita Ramchandra, I bow down Shri Satguru Sai Nath. Hail, hail Sai, supporter of the devotees, the greatest of the Gurus, who has shed light on the meaning of the Gita. Bestower of all Siddhas, may your grace be upon me. Sandalwood grows in the Himalaya range of mountains to counteract the heat of the summer, or the clouds rain for the happiness of the people on earth, or flowers bloom in spring for the worship of the deities, or for the satisfaction of the listeners. There arises a tradition of narration of stories or parables. On hearing the Satcharitra, the listeners and the narrator are both purified. The ears of the listener are purified, and so also the mouth of the narrator. In the last chapter, how knowledge manifest and destruction of ignorance was narrated, with the meaning of the verse, commencing with the words Tavidhi Pranipatina. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, at the conclusion of the 18th chapter, in this 72nd verse, Sri Krishna asks Arjun, by the discourse that has been given up till now, have your desires been removed? This was the clear question, not whether he gained knowledge. Similarly, Partha Arjun reciprocated, my desires have been scattered. He said, I have not gained knowledge, but my desires are destroyed. The other name for desires is ignorance. They merely appear as two different words. There is no difference in their meaning. Those who are learned in the Gita know this. By the advice that you have given to me, my desires, that is, my ignorance, has been destroyed, Arjun told Shri Krishna in the beginning of 11th chapter. The present new chapter, I shall narrate the unique story about Kakasaheb, Hari Sitaram Dikshit, and how he was established in Shirdi. Hear from the very beginning about his ties with Shirdi, an account of his past birth and his close association with Sai, and the principal reason which determined all this. There are many stories about him which are known to the young and the old, but all do not know how he happened to come to Shirdi in the first instance. This is a story of merits of earlier lives which granted him God's grace, and which later resulted in meeting the Satguru, who blesses disciples with self-bliss. In this chapter, I will narrate to the listeners a triad of stories of three devotees who became famous. They will bring peace to the hearts of the listeners. We may try hundreds of means or sadhanas to attain the spiritual goal, but without the grace of the Satguru, it is not possible to achieve the goal of life. Listening to the sweet story on the subject will fulfill the longing of the listener. Love for such stories will manifest, and the desire for one's own welfare will increase. This most purifying chapter will satisfy the devotees of a Guru. Listeners should hear it attentively for their own well-being. Hari Sitaram Dikshit was well known as Kakasaheb with respect to all the devotees of Sai Baba, and is remembered with love. His earlier background is well known, pleasing and interesting. Therefore, I respectfully narrate it to the adorned devotees. It will give happiness to those who are eager to hear his life story. He who did not even know the name of Sai till 1909 became a great devotee of Sai and was known as such to all. Many years after his university education, Nanasaheb Chandorkar came once to Lavla. Dixit was his old friend, who he met there after several years. They talked about their welfare with each other. Dixit told him about his accident in London when his foot slipped while boarding a train and was injured. The trouble that he suffered from could not be revealed in spite of hundreds of remedies. The detailed story about this injury came out in the natural course of conversation. It reminded Nana of the usefulness of Shri Sai Baba in such cases. Do you feel that you would like to get rid of your lameness forever? If so, come for my Guru's darshan, and said Nana to him. Then Nana, believing it to be unique, narrated in detail about Sai's nature, glory and greatness. Sai being the jewel among saints. I draw to me my man from afar, even across the seven seas, like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet. This is Baba's usual assurance. Moreover, Nana had given a long discourse. He said, if you are not his man, you will not be attracted to him. If you are not his man, you will not even have his darshan. This is one of Baba's significant aspects. Will you go there on your own? Be it so. Hearing all the description about Sai, Dikshit felt a great satisfaction. Then he said to Nana, I will take Baba's darshan. Why talk about the pain in my leg? The whole body is perishable. Let the injury to my leg remain as long as it does. I am not worried about it. I will go for your Guru's darshan, but for the bliss of attaining liberation. I have no wish for small pleasures, and I will not plead for them. There is no happiness other than union with Brahma. That is the only priceless happiness. I will become a Saviator of your Guru only for this invaluable bliss. Let the lameness of my leg be. It does not distress me, but I would pray that my lame, fickle mind is brought around. I have got very tired of making efforts, but the mind does not become steady. When I make efforts to control it, it runs amok without my knowledge. However attentive I may be in trying to control it, I do not know when it will escape. I am greatly amazed. Therefore, Nana, with my whole heart, I will take your Guru's darshan. I will pray to him to remove this impairment of my mind. Sai was supremely eager for the spiritual attainment of such a devotee who was not interested in the pleasures of the perishable body, but who longed for the ultimate bliss. The election of the then Legislative Council was the topic of conversation everywhere. The people were engaged in this work in many places. Kakasaheb came suddenly to Ahmednagar to canvass for votes for himself and was meeting friends for that purpose. There was a chieftain there by the name of Kakasaheb Mirkar. Dikshit had close family relationships with him. He therefore stayed there with him. According to the custom of those times, an exhibition of horses was arranged at Nagar. Therefore, people from all walks of life were engaged in work connected with it. Balasaheb Mirkar, the Mamledar of Kopargaon, was present at Ahmednagar town for the exhibition. After Dikshit's work was completed, he came there. How could it be possible to go to Shirdi? Who will take me there? Once the work had come to an end, his attention was on the way to Shirdi. Dikshit's intense desire was only for the opportunity to have Baba's darshan. Who will come with me? Who will take me before Baba and place me at his feet? These were Dikshit's dilemmas. Once the work for the election was over, Dikshit was only worried about how he would go to Shirdi. He respectfully requested Mirkar. Balasaheb Mirkar was the son of Kakasaheb Mirkar. They discussed among themselves as to who should go with Dikshit. If any one of them would accompany him, then there would be no need for another. Then who should definitely go with him was being debated. Man thinks of ordinary solution, but God plans something else. For Dikshit's journey to Shirdi, something unexpected happened. On this side, there was this turmoil. On the other side, observe the agitation. Knowing the strong desire of the devotee, see how Samartha earned with compassion. While Dikshit was driven by these thoughts and was seated worrying about this, Madhav Rao himself came to Nagar. Everyone was surprised. The father-in-law of Madhav Rao had telegraphed him from Nagar that his mother-in-law was gravely ill and he should come immediately with his wife. As soon as he received the telegram, he prepared to leave after obtaining Baba's permission. Both of them went to Chithali station. They caught the 3 o'clock train and both went to Nagar. They took a tanga and got down at the door. At the same time, Nana Sahib Phanse and Appa Sahib Gadre were also there in connection with the exhibition and were passing by that road. As Madhav Rao was alighting from the tanga, they saw him unexpectedly. They were quite surprised. They could not contain their joy. Look at this. My good fortune Madhav Rao, who is the Sevikari of Vithoba temple, is here from Shirdi. Who can be better than him to take Dikshit to Shirdi? Then calling out to him, said, Dikshit Kaka has come to Mirkas. Go and see him. Marvel at Baba's Leela. Dikshit is our remarkable friend. You will get acquainted with him. He is very eager to go to Shirdi and your arrival will delight him. Giving this message to Madhav Rao, they gave the information to Dikshit, whose anxiety was relieved on hearing it. He was extremely pleased. When Madhav Rao visited his in-laws, he found that his mother-in-law was better, so he rested a little. Then Mirkar sent for him. Respecting the invitation, a little after sunset, Madhav Rao left to meet Dikshit. When Balasaheb introduced him, it was his first meeting. Both of them decided to take the 10 o'clock train the same night. After this plan was decided, see what unusual thing happened next day. Next, Balasaheb removed the curtain over Baba's portrait. This was a photograph of Baba which was worshipped by Megha, a true and great devotee of Baba, with the conviction that Baba was the holy three-eyed Shankar incarnate. Because the glass was broken, it was sent to Nagar with Balasaheb for repairs. That was how it initially left Shirdi. This picture, having been repaired, was in Mirkar's drawing room, covered with cloth, as if it was waiting for Dikshit. Balasaheb was to return it after the conclusion of the horse show. But there was yet some more time for that. Therefore, he entrusted it to Madhav Rao. Removing the cloth, he uncovered it. He gave it in Madhav Rao's keeping and said, "Go up to Shirdi happily in Baba's company." When he first cast a glance at that portrait, which was pleasing in all aspects, Kakasaheb was filled with joy. After prostrating before it with reverence, he began to look at it. Experiencing this unusual incident and seeing Sai Samartha's photograph unexpectedly, which was so pleasing and pure, Dikshit's eyes were riveted to it. He was greatly delighted that he, for whose darshan he was longing, his portrait was embodying his form, could be seen by him on the way itself. It was a strange coincidence that it was at Kakasaheb the Mirkar's house at the same time when Dikshit was there, having come earlier from Shirdi. It seemed that Sai Samartha had come at Mirkar's residence under a pretext to fulfill Dikshit's heartfelt longing. At Lonavala itself, the attraction for the Guru had taken place when he had met Nana and talked at length with him. It was seed sown for the meeting. Otherwise, why should this portrait from Shirdi have come here at this time and remained covered for so long at this place? So be it. After it was so decided, Madhav Rao and Dikshit, taking the picture with them, set out happily. They both left for the station after dinner that same night. They paid the second-class fare and brought the tickets. Right at the stroke of 10, the sound of the train could be heard. They also saw that the second-class compartments were crammed with passengers. The situation was such that both of them were greatly worried. The time was also short. What arrangement could be made and how? Be it so. Now, because of the overcrowding, both of them decided to return to their place and go the next day to Shirdi. At that moment, Dikshit saw the guard of the train with whom he had an acquaintance. He easily made arrangements for them to travel by first class. Then, sitting in the train, they started talking about Baba to their heart's content. Madhav Rao narrated the nectar-like stories. Dikshit overflowed with joy. Thus, that journey was completed very joyfully. Time passed very quickly. The train reached Kopargaon. They alighted in a very happy mood. At the same time, they unexpectedly saw Nanasaheb Chandorkar at the station. Dikshit was full of happiness that they had met each other. Nana too had come for Baba's darshan and was proceeding to Shirdi. All the three of them were amazed at this coincidence. Then the three of them hired a tanga and left on the way, animatedly talking. They had a bath in the Godavari on the way and reached holy Shirdi. Later, after having Sai's darshan, Dikshit's heart melted and his eyes filled with tears. The water of self-bliss split and overflowed. I too was waiting for you. Then I sent Shama to meet you all the way to Nagar, spoke Sai clearly to him. Hearing these words, every pore in Dikshit's body was filled with joy. His throat was choked with emotion. His mind was full of happiness. He was sweating profusely. His body trembled. His mind was engrossed in self-bliss. His eyes were half closed and he was immersed in a cloud of joy. Today, my eyes have served their purpose. Saying this, he embraced Baba's feet. He felt truly blessed and the world could not contain his joy. Later, years passed. His faith was firmly rooted at Sai's feet. He attained Sai's grace fully and buried his body in Sai's Dikshit. To serve Sai well, he built a house or an ashram in Shirdi and stayed there for many years. He spread Sai's fame. In conclusion, whosoever longs for Sai is fulfilled by him. Sai is the abode of refuge for his devotees and the giver of ultimate joy to them. They are the merit chakras for the moon, but for the chakras there is just one moon. Similarly, a mother may have many sons, but for the sun there is only one mother. For the sun there are innumerable white lotuses, but for the lotuses there is only one sun, giving them the light of the day. There is no dearth of devotees for you, but Guruvara, you alone are their father. For the cloud there are numerous Chataks, but for the Chataks there is only one cloud. Similarly, he has countless devotees, but for them he alone is the mother and the father. He respects the honor of those who surrender to him easily with devotion. He fulfills their desires with his efforts and might. This can be observed even presently. All living beings in this world will meet their end at the hands of death. Sai made Dikshit fearless of death by saying, "I will take you in a plane." Dikshit's end came about as a shot by Sai's words. He died with the words of Sai's glory on his lips. It happened before my very eyes. We were both sitting on a bench in a train next to one another, engrossed in the stories of Sai Samartha, when he seemed to take off suddenly in the plane. He seemed to have unexpectedly seized the opportunity by placing his head on my shoulder. Dikshit had suddenly attained place in the plane and achieved heavenly bliss. There was no contraction nor convulsion. There was no rattle in the throat, nor was there any sharp pain. While his body was normal in all aspects, while all the faculties functioned, his body became still. The mortal life was cast away. His light merged with the self he established in his real form by flying away. His light became one with Brahma. When he concentrated at Sai's feet, he had completely lost his ego. His behavior was such that he was well content and had totally dedicated himself to the Lord. In Shrek 1848 AD 1926, in the Hindu calendar month of Jeshta, on the Ekadashi day of the dark fortnight of the month, that is 11th day of waning moon, Dikshit attained union with the Lord, leaving behind the world of conditioned existence. Call it death, or say that his plane had arrived. He merged at Sai's feet. Everyone is aware of the truth of this story. One needs to be free from such obligation. Anyone who believes this must be deemed to be totally devoid of devotion. There is nothing in this world that one can give as gift in lieu of this obligation. It would not even happen in a dream. If one thinks of giving the Chintamani, one will only increase one's daily anxieties. If one thinks that the obligation is repaid by giving such an object, it is only a childish thought. Well, if one offers the Kalpataru to the Guru and tries to please him, the Guru, however, is skillful in granting something which is unchanging. Can that free one from all debts and obligation to the Guru? Be it so. Instead of all this, if one gives paris to the Guru, then that paris will turn into gold. But the Guru will make one savor the divine knowledge. If one gives the Kamdhenu to the Guru, believing that in this way his obligation is repaid, one will only greatly increase one's own desires. The Guru is without any expectation and is a willing giver. If one gives the wealth of the whole world to the Guru in order to repay his obligation, can one repay it by illusory or Maic objects when he has given the real or a Maic object? If one offers one's body to the Guru, it is only a perishable object. If one offers one's life to him, then know that too is illusory. The Satguru is the bestower of the real things. By offering him illusory objects, how can he be repaid? This is an impossible concept. Therefore, with complete and singular faith, prostrate the whole body in salutation. Place your head at the feet of the Satguru, remembering the benefits and obligation he has conferred. Constant and eternal remembrance of the benefits confirmed by the Guru is the ornament of the disciple. He who tries to repay that obligation, that disciple loses his happiness. Listening so far to this story, the listeners have a strong desire for more. Observing their eagerness, together with curiosity, I will narrate a small story. The saints also express their brotherly love for other saints. in accordance with the norms of worldly people, or that they are very intent on bringing people together to adopt a particular way and want this creed to be known. Or Sai himself plays the part of those characters to achieve the welfare of his devotees and to teach them spirituality. Listeners, please hear with respect a short story illustrating this. They will then understand how saints understand other saints and their indication without the benefit of words. Once on the banks of the Godavari in the famous town of Rajhamudri, Shri Vasudev Anand encamped. His family name was Saraswati. He was greater than the great, highly omniscient, and a devout and orthodox follower of the Karma Marg. His fame was unending, like the Ganga, and reverberated even to the nether regions of the earth. Hearing about him by word of mouth on one Pundalik Rao and others residents of Nanded who were devoted firmly decided to have his darshan. Anyway, later on that whole group left Nanded and came to Rajhamudri on the banks of the Godavari early morning for the darshan of the Swami. As it was the auspicious early morning time, the whole group from Nanded set out for the banks of the Ganga for a bath while chanting stotras and scriptures. The group found Swami sitting there and bowed to him with eightfold prostration with devotion. In the natural course of their conversation about generality, Shirdi was mentioned. When Sai's name was heard by him, the Swami folded his hands in salutation and said, "He is my brother who is desireless. I have excessive love for him." Picking up a coconut from there, he gave it to Pundalik Rao and said, "Bowing down at the lotus feet of my brother Other, offer this whenever you go to Shirdi. Convey to him my salutation and request him to have mercy and grace towards this humble one. Do not forget me and let your love for me grow uninterruptedly. Whenever you go next to Shirdi, offer this to my brother with reverence and without fail." As a rule, we Swamis are forbidden and do not bow to anyone else, but breaking this rule in the present context can only be beneficent. Therefore, when you take Sai's darshan, do not forget this matter. Offer this coconut at Sai's feet without fail. After hearing these words, the Swami Pundalik Rao bowed at his feet and said, "I will act in accordance with the Swami's instruction. I accept your instructions with profound reverence and consider myself blessed to be so entrusted." Pundalik Rao left from there after surrendering wholeheartedly to the Swami. When the Swami called Baba his brother, was it meaningless? Baba acted in accordance with these Shrutis, being an Agnihotri offering oblation to the fire in the morning and the evening. The fire, which was called Dhuni by the people, was always in front of Baba and kept burning day and night. This was Baba's woe. Agnihotra and other such penance performances are prescribed for inner purification. Baba adopted this means to make the people follow a particular way and to achieve Brahmahood. Shri Vasudev Anand Saraswati was an ascetic and also followed the same vow, being an Agnihotri. No wonder then that he called Baba his brother. Could he speak in vain? Later, before even a month had passed, the opportunity arose for Pundalik Rao to set out for Sai's darshan, taking 4 friends along with him. He took his baggage of variety of fruits and carefully remembered to take that coconut. They all set out for Sai's darshan with joy and unperturbed minds. Later, when they got off at Manmad, there was still some time for the departure of the train to Kopargaon. As they were very thirsty, they went to a nearby stream. As drinking water on an empty stomach is harmful for the body, someone brought out a small bundle of chuda tied in the corner of a cloth to eat as a light snack. On putting just a pinch of the chuda into the mouth, the chuda was found to be pungent. Without a coconut, the chuda was useless. The whole effort seemed wasted. Then one of them said to them all, "I remember a stratagem. Break the coconut and mix it with the chuda. Then savor the taste of the chuda." No sooner was the coconut mentioned than one was found ready at hand. There was no delay in breaking it. Mixing it with the chuda proved the taste. Thereafter they drank that water. The coconut was mentioned and there was one ready at hand. Nobody asked to whom it belonged. The hunger was so overpowering that they all forgot. Be that as it may be, They sat in the train to Kopergaon and went forward to their destination. On the way, Pundalik Rao remembered that particular coconut. Seeing that Shirdi was nearby, Pundalik Rao was in a mental turmoil, realizing that the coconut given by Vasudevanand had been mixed with the chuda by mistake. When he realized that the coconut was broken, Pundalik Rao was filled with fear and his whole body trembled. He had committed a sin against a saint. He was most remorseful. What a sin he had committed. He had earned the curse of the Swami. By laminating over it is useless. For the coconut to have been put to such a use was a great trap. Pundalik Rao's mind was stunned and he was nonplussed. Now what can I offer Baba? In what manner can I explain this to him? How can I show my face to him? I have lost the coconut irrevocably. Pundalik Rao was very depressed, thinking about having made a light snack of that which had to be offered at Sai's feet. He said this is an insult of a saint. Now when Baba asked for the coconut, all would have to hang their heads in shame, as they had made a light snack of it at Manmad. This was the turmoil that all faced from within. It would be a shame to tell the truth that they did not have the coconut with them that day. To tell a lie would not serve any purpose, as Sai Maharaj was omniscient. Be it so. The whole group was filled with joy on taking Sai's darshan. Eyes were filled with tears of joy and their face reflected their bliss. Nowadays, we send wireless messages day or night and boast about it, taking pride in doing so. For these buildings have been constructed, a lot of expenditure has been incurred. The saints do not need these means. They send messages by telepathy. At the time when the Swami had given the coconut to Pundalik Rao, he had already sent a message to Sainath by telepathy. When Pundalik Rao was taking darshan, Sai Baba on his own said, "Bring me that article which you have brought from my brother." Then that dejected Pundalik Rao held Shri Baba's feet and said, "What shall I say, except to beg for your forgiveness? I did remember the coconut, but to satisfy our hunger, when we went to the stream, all of us forgot. There where we made a light snack of the chuda, this very coconut was broken and mixed with it. Therefore I will bring another coconut. Please accept it without hesitation." Saying this, Pundalik Rao began to get up to get the fruit. Others saw Sai Maharaj hold him by the hand and prevent him from going. "Unknowingly I have broken faith. You are merciful. Give me shelter under your fold. Forgive me, O merciful one. I am utterly guilty. I have disregarded the words of a virtuous saints like Swami, and I have eaten the fruit which was to be offered to you. This is a transgression against a saint. Is there anything to mitigate this sin? How impudent have I become?" Then hearing about the incident as it had happened, Shri Sainath laughingly said, "Why did you take the coconut when you were not going to take care of it? My brother had full faith in your words, firmly believing that you would give me my article to me. And what was the result of it? Is this your trustworthiness? My brother's desires remained unfulfilled. Is this how you work?" He added, "The worth of that fruit cannot be matched by giving any number of others. Whatever had to happen has happened. Why unlessly brood about over it? It was only by my resolve that the Swami gave you that coconut, and the fruit was broken by my violation. Why do you unlessly take the doership? You are feeling guilty because you have an ego. Just be egoless. You will be free from all guilt." Why is there pride in doing a good or a meritorious deeds, and why does one shrink away from sinful one? The result of both is the same. Therefore act without the sense of doership. It occurred to me that you should see me. Therefore the coconut was entrusted into your hands. This is the truth. Verily, verily, verily. After all, you are my children. The fruit that you have eaten is as good as being offered to me. Believe that I have definitely received it." When Pundalik Rao understood this, then his mind calmed down with Sai's words, and his anxiety resolved gradually. The loss of the coconut was only a pretext for giving the advice to clarify the anxiety-ridden minds. Thus all of them who were full of pride became free of the ego and felt blameless and guilty-less. The essence of this story is that those whose minds are free of pride are qualified to attain spirituality and can easily go across the ocean of existence. Now listen to the experience of the third devotee, which is sweet and novel. It is indicative of both the Baba's immeasurable grandeur and greatness of authority. In Bandra Taluka, to the north of the township of Bandra, in Santa Cruz town lived the devotee Dhurandhar. All the brothers had love and reverence for the saints. They had firm trust in Shri Ram. They had singular faith in chanting Shri Ram's name. They did not like unnecessarily dabbling in affairs of others. They had led simple lives and so did their children. Even the women in the family behaved in faultless manner. Lord Vishnu Chakrapani was therefore in debt to them. Balram was one of them. He was a devotee of Vittal and a person of a scarred celebrity. He was honoured in a very princely court and he was liked by all. This gem was born on this earth on 19th Feb 1878 to a mother who was a devotee of Sri Ram. He was an ornament of the Pathare Prabhu caste of a famous family lineage. In the year 1878, he was born in Bombay. He had Western education and was qualified educator. He was well versed in philosophy and was well known as a learned man everywhere. He was greatly devoted to the deity Panduranga and supremely inclined towards spirituality. Though his father's family deity was Ram, his own worship was for Vittal. All the others held a good position and their conduct was always righteous. As they came from a pure lineage, they had pure faith, pure culture, but Balram was unexcelled. He had the ability to put forward well-reasoned, sustainative and appealing arguments. He had a simple and pure way of thinking, a sharp intellect but good and righteous behavior. These were his virtues and they were worth illuminating. He had served his community and written and published an account of it. On completing the work that he had undertaken, he decided to attain spirituality. In this field also he surpassed others, and after completing the Bhagavad Gita and Jnaneshwari, became proficient in these texts. He became a man of repute in Adhyatma. He was a great devotee of Sai. He became one with the Supreme Spirit in 1925 at a young age. Listen to a short biography about him. On the 9th of June 1925, after finishing his journey in this world, he merged in Lord Vittal. On an auspicious day in April 1912, the opportunity arose for the Dhurandhar brothers to have the saint's darshan in Sai's Darbar. 6 months earlier, his eldest brother, Bapuji, along with Vaman Rao, had taken darshan and returned happily. To have the same sweet experience as they had, all the others, including Balram, went there to have the benefit of the novel darshan. Even before their arrival, Baba openly said, "Today, several people from my Darbar are going to come here." Hearing about this loving remark, the Dhurandhar brothers were greatly surprised they had not intimated anyone of their trip to Shirdi. How did Baba come to know of it? Later seeing Sai, they ran and embraced his feet. Slowly the conversation began and everyone was happy and content. Besides, when he saw that the people had gathered, Baba spoke again. "See, these are the people of the Dhurandhar about whose coming I had spoken." Later seeing Sai, they ran and embraced his feet. Slowly the conversation began and everyone was happy and content. Besides, when he saw that the people had gathered, Baba spoke again. "See, these are the people of the Darbar about whose coming I had spoken." And listen to what Baba said further. Every word is true. Remember that we know each other since the last 60 generation. Balram and the others, all of them full of humility, stood before Baba with their hands folded and gazing at the feet of Shri Sai. On having Shri Sai's darshan, Balram and all others felt enthusiastic and excessively devoted and loving. They considered that the trip was worth their efforts. Their eyes were filled with tears, their throat was choked with great emotion, they experienced horripilation over their body, and all the 8 sattvic emotions filled them. Seeing Balram's state, Sainath was pleased. He began talking to all of them, relating loving stories and giving advice. "He who worships me in moonlight fortnight when the moon is waxing and offers to me love and all sentiments is blessed. He who with complete faith engages himself in the service of his Guru, the Lord is in debt to him always. No one can view him with evil intentions. He who does not waste even half a moment and who has a liking for the worship of the Lord and the Guru, they will give him infinite or perpetual happiness and enable him to cross the other shore. Hearing such words, everybody's eyes were filled with tears of joy. Their minds were filled with happiness and their hearts were overpowered by emotion. This garland of words Sai was worn by all with obeisance. All were filled with joy. It was the reason why they were all filled with devotion. So they went to the Vada and later and rested after their meal. In the afternoon they went again and prostrated before Baba. Balram with great humility began pressing Baba's feet. Then Baba extended the chillum to him and made a sign to him to smoke it. Then, considering these chillum as prasad, though he was not in the habit of smoking, Balram took a few puffs with difficulty and handling it back to Baba bowed to him with devotion. It was a fortunate day for Balram. From that day his asthma was cured and he was well satisfied. This asthma had not troubled him just recently. He had been suffering from it for full 6 years. Yet it was cured as if a mantra had been whispered into his ears. The chillum had such power. From the time that he took a deep down pull at the chillum and returned it after bowing with humility, the asthma disappeared. It did not recur at all. But one day in between, Balram got a cough which surprised everyone, as no one would understand its cause. Later, when they went deep into the matter, it was discovered that Baba had left his mortal coil on that day itself and had given an indication of to his devotee. The day that Balram got an attack of the cough was the day when Baba had surrendered his body to the earth and gave an indication of it. From that time he never again suffered from the cough till his dying day. Can anyone ever forget his experience of the chillum? After that was a Thursday and the day for procession to the Chavdi. Therefore the joy was multiplied twofold. It was truly a memorable day. From 8 to 9 in the night before Baba in the courtyard, bhajans were sung to the beating of various instruments such as tal, mridan, etc. with great interest and length. The abhangs were sung at one place while the palanquin was decorated at another. After the palanquin was ready, Baba then started for the Chavdi. Earlier, I have described the unique Chavdi procession in chapter 37. It will be a repetition here. Baba spent one night in the masjid and the next in the Chavdi. This routine of Baba was continued by him till the end. To see the Chavdi procession, loving Maharaj was filled with enthusiasm. Therefore, when it was time for the Chavdi procession, all the Dhurandhar returned. The men and women of Shirdi village accompanied Baba, shouting acclamation with zeal, and started for the Chavdi. Therefore, the horse's name was Sham Sundar and was covered with cloth woven with golden thread and was ornamented. He led the procession, praising ahead. Various musical instruments such as horn, large brass trumpet, and the tatari played. The ornamented Shayam Makaran along with the palanquin and Sai were taken in procession. Sai walked along with the devotee as some held an ornamental umbrella over him. Some carried flags and paper decoration in their hands. Some held the ornamental umbrella over Shri's head. Some waved whisk and peacock feathers, and others holding torches surrounded them on all sides, taking the harmonious mirdan, tal, dhol, and other sweet sounding instrument. A multitude of devotees walked on either sides of Baba doing bhajan. Be this as it may be, when this beautiful procession came before the Chavdi, Baba stopped facing in the northerly direction, made his ritualistic movements with his hand. On the right hand, Baba's Bhagat Mahal Sapati walked holding the fold of the Baba's garment. On the left walked Tatya Patil holding a lantern. Baba's compassion was golden hued, and when the light of the lamps fell on it, it shone like a yellow gold mixed with copper. The beauty of his face was like the light of dawn. Blessed was the pure darshan of that moment. Baba stood facing the north. In deeper concentration, it seemed as if he was summoning someone as he partially raised his right hand. From there he was taken further up to the Chavdi and made to take a seat with great honor. Beautiful ornaments and clothes were offered to him, and sandalwood paste was smudged on his limbs. Sometimes an aggregate of jewels worn in the turban was offered, sometimes a gem-studded with ornaments for the turban, sometimes a plum, sometimes a golden ornamented crown, sometimes a golden embroidered cloak. Necklace of diamonds, pearls and emeralds were put around Baba's neck lovingly. Some adored his forehead with a round mark of fragrant musk. Some washed his feet and worshipped them. Some applied saffron and other fragrances to the body and put betel leaves on his mouth. In his mouth. They wavered the 5-wick lamp, filling it with camphor over Baba. The beauty of his visage was beyond compare. The luminosity surrounding Sai's face made him appear exactly like the image of Pandurang. Dhurandhar was stupefied to see it. Just as no one on earth can bear to see the flash of lightning in the sky, similarly the effulgence of Sai's forehead, when it shone, blinded all eyes. The Kakararti used to take place in the early mornings. Dhurandhar and others when there too they saw the same lustre on Baba's face. From then on till he died, Balram had complete faith at Sai's feet. It was definitely established and it never wavered even a little bit. Hemad surrendered to Sai's feet. The book will be concluded in the next chapter. In the narration, there will be a review. Give me your attention for the last time. May there be well-being. This is the end of the 51st chapter of Shri Sai Satcharitra, written by the devotee Hemad, contemplated by the saint and virtuous people, called a triad of stories of 3 devotees. This is offered to Sri Satguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness.